What's up everyone, Matthew Monas here, and today we're going to be reviewing the Lenovo Legion Y520 gaming laptop. Now the Y520 falls under Lenovo's new Legion brand and aimed as an entry-level mainstream gaming device for those on a budget. Pricing starts at $920, which puts it in line with the Acer VX15, the Dell Inspiron 7567, and the HP Omen 15. So is it worth it? Let's find out. So out of all the budget gaming laptops I've reviewed this year, the Lenovo Legion Y520 is the cleanest looking one. It's made out of all plastic like the competition, but instead of being all red or rocking a very aggressive design, it maintains a gamer's appearance while looking simple and clean. It weighs 5.3 pounds, so it's slightly heavier than the 4.85 pound HP Omen, but lighter than the Acer VX and Dell 7567. There's 13 screws to take off to get inside, and on the bottom left you have a M2 128GB PCIe SSD that can be replaced with something bigger if you want. On the right side, there's a 2.5-inch 5400 RPM hard drive by Seagate. I would have loved to see a 7200 RPM hard drive, but it too can be replaced. For ports, on the left, there's a Kensington lock, power connector, Ethernet jack, a USB 2.0 port, and a headphone jack. On the right, you have a USB Type-C 3.0 port, a 4-in-1 card reader, two USB 3.0 ports, and an HDMI port. Unfortunately, there's no Thunderbolt 3 or USB 3.1 port. Now, there's three models to choose from. They all come with an NVIDIA GTX 1050 Ti. The base model has an i5 7300HQ processor, but the two more expensive ones have the i7 7700K. Now, the only difference between my review unit and the most expensive one is that you can actually get it with a 256GB main PCIe drive instead of 128. Pricing starts at $919 and goes all the way up to $1,250. The 15.6-inch Full HD display is IPS 60Hz and non-touch. I was super disappointed with the display on the Acer VX15, but was shocked to find out that this one is actually worse. First, it doesn't get that bright, and second, like the Acer VX15, it also looks flat and dull. So creatives will want to use an external display or opt for a more expensive laptop. The sRGB rating sat at 63% and Adobe RGB at 47%. This is quite low compared to the 72 to 75% average on the more expensive gaming laptops. Gaming on it looked fine, but it did lack the contrast that I'm used to seeing on more expensive gaming notebooks. The 720p HD camera looks like this. It's nothing special, a bit noisy and flat, but this seems to be the case with most laptops these days. It's fine for the odd Skype call or streaming to Twitch. Okay, so time for some good stuff again. The keyboard is full size with a numeric keypad, and this is probably the best one I've used in this category at this price point. So imagine that rubber feel you get from other gaming laptops, combined with a feeling of being mechanical. The keys are fairly big with a nice 1.7mm travel distance. There's also two levels of red backlighting to choose from, but unfortunately it can't be changed to any other color. The touchpad below, on the other hand, is not my favorite. The accuracy is fine, but not great, and I'm really not a fan of the mouse buttons. The stiff buttons slope downwards and feel awkward. Now what's up with this red border? It looks a bit tacky. You'll definitely want to use an external mouse when you can. For sound, there's two Harman Kardon speakers and the placement is forward facing. They hide just under the display. They sound very clear with nice highs and mids, but have very little bass. Now they don't get that loud, but sound fine if you're in a quiet room. Lenovo has their Nerve Sense software installed, so if a game starts to play, it will enhance the sound. So at this price point, you can pretty much do anything you want with this laptop. Editing 4K video is not a problem. Having tons of tabs open, not a big deal. And consuming media, it just won't break a sweat. Just remember, any visual professional work you do, try and go out and use a color accurate external monitor. Overwatch, a very well optimized game, ran at 1080p with settings set to ultra, average frame rates of 80 to 85 frames per second during scenes of lots of fighting. Doom, which is also pretty well optimized but more taxing, averaged lower frame rates of 55 when there was a lot going on. Battlefield 1 with settings set to high, average frame rates of 55 to 65, but if you drop it to medium, you can push that up to 80. Finally, the last game I tried was Crysis 3 With settings set to medium, I was able to get frame rates of 70. So overall, perfect for playing games at full HD. Under my heat test, the laptop reached temperatures of 44 degrees Celsius with one very short second of thermal throttling. The temps were a bit high, but does a fairly good job at managing it. In terms of noise, it stays really quiet when it's under idle, a bit loud when it's doing heavy tasks like playing games, but if you turn on extreme cooling, it will ramp up the fans even faster and it can get a bit noisy. You know what? Have a listen for yourself. Finally, battery life is definitely one of the Y520's weaker points. I got about 5 hours of use before needing to plug in. Of course, this was made up of browsing the web, watching the movies, and doing office work. Gaming, on the other hand, don't expect more than 2 to 2.5 hours at the most, but this is pretty standard for most gaming laptops. Alright, so here's my closing thoughts. The Lenovo Legion Y520 is very well designed. It has a fantastic keyboard, good sound, and a decent amount of ports. However, it does fall short with a poor trackpad, subpar display. Now, I totally understand these are affordable gaming laptops and you have to cut corners in order to drive prices down. But just like the Acer VX, I wish it wasn't the display. The Y520 is a very competitive laptop that has some advantages over the similar priced competition. However, I do feel you get more bang for your buck with the Acer VX15 or the Dell Inspiron 7567. So that wraps up my review of the Legion Y520. I want you guys to think of it in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next video.